What's up, guys? It's Corey with Reedy River Goods. Today we got a portfolio. I'm gonna put this in a beginner project. I know it might look like a lot more, but it's really just the basic, cutting out some rectangles, making some shapes. And this is pretty awesome here. I have a water buffalo that I got from Tandy Leather. It said it was supposed to be a 5.5 ounce leather. There ain't no way. I can't find my gauge anywhere. If you looked, or if you've been to my channel before, I was in a nice little workshop I just finished up, but we moved. So I'm working out of boxes and things, but it was, I only think it was 80 something degrees today. So I'm able to get out in the garage tonight, and I've just had an itch to get out here and do some projects. So this is one I'm working on for actually a local company asked me to make some, and then we're gonna get them laser engraved and have them looking pretty fresh and pretty clean. But again, this is a water buffalo. I'm pretty sure this is closer to, this looks like a 4 to 4.5, I would say, just by me eyeballing it. And I got it from this hide, which actually was a relatively inexpensive, but it's really nice. And there's a lot of working area in there. Again, I got it from Tandy. It's a water buffalo. It's got some crazy character in there. Look at all that. So I like to choose what I'm gonna do on my projects, and for this one I'm actually gonna make a pretty standard one for the video, but for this one I used kind of the natural edge here. I just like that little piece. It almost looks like a little eyeball staring at you, but I kind of just use the natural edge here. So I'll do things like that sometimes, like this, just to add a nice little flair in there, a nice little touch, and make it a little bit more unique and like a piece of art. So but this is pretty nice. Again, it's a pretty easy project. It's not too bad at all, and it really is a nice. I mean, it's a nice product. So you can sell them for quite a bit. Now it does take a little bit more leather. If you are new to leather craft, don't be worried or don't be intimidated. Like I said, it's a relatively simple project, and somebody was throwing this away. This little piece of trash here, and this is what things are generally made out of. This is why I like to show folks. Cardboard, it's foam, and then this pleather rat ass. I don't even know what that is. And so I basically took that joker, traced it, and then I cut out the inside sleeve, and then I kind of just did my own variations here. But for this one, they requested, they want actually a full panel here so I can carry that stitch line all the way across. So they didn't like that it was bare here, and they wanted it to match. So I'm gonna put a full panel here, almost as a pocket, and then just a straight pocket across down here for business cards or whatever you else like in here. The last one I did, I had some field notes I put in there, and then a business card holder here, put pens, whatever you want. But yeah, so I'm gonna get you the measurements for everything. Preferably you want something with a little bit of firm. This is like a medium temper. Firmness here. It's kind of got a little bit of both, right? So it's in the middle. It's got enough where, and when you put a binder, or excuse me, a notepad in there, it does give it a little bit of rigidity anyway. And so this kind of just gives it a nice feel to it. I might like it a little bit more rigid here, but I think with all the character that's on here, let me see if you can get a good look at that. I really like how it turned out. And it feels awesome too. So it feels really super smooth. But yeah, so something you can generally get away with. I did one recently with a 5.5 ounce, and it was more towards the firm side. And it came out awesome too. It just had a little bit more heft to it, and some strength there. But you can kind of work with it and play. This one I said like is a little bit more towards the medium temper side. But let's get into it. I'm going to show you a few things. Again, for now, it's a pretty straightforward rectangles, and then you can kind of make those changes. If you want to be creative on the inner panel here, go for it. I always kind of like to do it. In this case, they wanted something pretty streamlined. So, but this is one I made, and I'm going to basically mimic it off of here. So, so yeah, appreciate you coming in. Don't be intimidated. We can get this thing together, and I appreciate you checking out my channel. Here we go. All right, so for this front panel, I kind of want, if you see on this one, I added this. I always like to check out my leather to see what I'm going to be working with. So I kind of like this little piece here, so I wanted it in there, but I did want it on the back side. And then I just liked all this little patterning in here. But what I'm going to do is kind of check out the leather, make sure there's no, see, you see right here, I bet you there's a, yeah, it's kind of like a small void right there. You can almost feel where it's a little bit thinner. And that's a pretty obvious scar right there. But I do want to find a pretty, this looks like a nice cover here. Something that is going to sit flat. It is a little, this is probably towards the belly side here, so it is going to be a little bit irregular. But I'm going to get kind of in this area. Make sure that's no void there. This looks like a nice piece of hide to cut right here. So I'm going to be using this again for my guide right here. And again, you can probably find these for a few bucks, honestly. So that'll be the cheapest pattern, you know, the cheapest pattern you may be able to find out there. Something like this that somebody's just throwing away, and give you a chance to use it there. All right, so I got my, where I want to cut here. The measurements are 19 1/4 by 12 1/4. So you're just cutting out a rectangle right now. 19 1/4 by 12 1/4. For this sake, I'm just going to trace this thing, cut it right out. And I've been bummed out in the moving process, all my razor blades and things like that. So I'm using a relatively dull razor, which I hate to do and I wouldn't recommend it, but I just had to get out here and do something. It's amazing when you do something for so long and then it's not there anymore. This whole moving process has taken me away for about 2 months, which it's been driving me crazy. All right, so 19 1/4, 12 1/4. You just want to cut that out, and then you're gonna lay it to the side. Just did it again, and I'm so mad at myself. I just had in my last video, I said don't cut towards your project side. I just did it, and I made a mistake over here, and I hate myself for it. So I'm gonna use this as one of the panels, unfortunately. Man, that gets me jacked up. I need to listen to my own rules. Don't cut towards your project side. Put the ruler on the other side. Make a mistake out here. I just ruined this big piece right here, this big panel, and that I could probably cut it short, but yeah, I'm gonna have to get another piece, cut it. So I'm gonna cut this one in half and use it for my panel side, but I need to follow my own rules. All right, so I got that cut out. Actually, 9 1/4 was a teensy bit heavy, so it actually saved me. I was only about, man, an eighth or so off. So I trimmed it up anyway, and I cleaned it up. I think I can salvage it. So, but don't cut into your project. I don't know why I do it. I keep doing it, and I'm driving myself crazy. Next one, 9 1/4. I'm just gonna do 2 panels, 2 matching panels. So 9 1/4 by 12 1/4 again. And I'll skim off whatever is extra there, but 9 1/4, 12. You can actually do 2 of them. You can do a left and a right, and again, set those to the side, and then we'll cut the card holder or whatever's going to be on the other side. You can make whatever pockets you want, but I'm going to do one for a business card holder, and then another for whatever, a field notes book or pens or whatever you want in there. So 9 1/4, 12 1/4. Make 2 of them. We're going to get it. Something also to consider, if you are cutting a hide of leather, your best piece of leather may be in the very center of that. But if you cut a big square in there, you may not have enough left on either side. You'll probably find left or right. You may not have enough north and south if you want to cut some other panels from there. So just kind of keep in mind that you're going to have one pretty big panel. And this will be the second. Yeah, this will be the second project I did from this. So I already cut 2 or 3 of these anyway. And so, but just keep that in mind, because as I cut it, it was kind of close to the center. And it still shouldn't prevent me, but just keep that in mind, because I don't want you to get and tell somebody that I told you to cut the nicest piece and that nicest piece is in the center, then you can't use the rest of that hide. So I do got a big hole in my hide right now, but that's all right. That's what we got it for, to cut it up and to make something. All right, same goes here. I love these little pieces right here. The character in these is awesome. I will get more of this. I haven't bought much of it. I think when I first started, I did. I went to Tandy, or I didn't go to Tandy, but it was online, and I picked it up, and I really like these panels. Really like these hides. What am I talking about? All right, 9.5, or excuse me, 9.25, 12.25. Let's get, see, I would have used something like this, but they want it pretty streamlined. They were pretty vanilla with the whole process, so they didn't allow for much creativity, and which is fine. I always want to add some, but it's all right. If they're paying for it, it's on them, so that's all right. Hopefully I get to make a bunch of them. This was kind of a mock-up that they wanted to do, and if they like it, they were going to buy a bunch for their company, so hopefully this would be keeping me busy, but we'll see. Man, look at me. I'm trying to line this thing up again. I cut my darn project. Somebody stop me. Man, been out of it too long, man. Take 2 months away from it, and you forget everything you learned. All right, so this might be the trickiest part of the whole thing. It's not that tricky, but so to get, I'll show you on this one. This is my template. To get the one of those panels you just cut, one of the two that you just cut, the 9.25 by 12.25, you'll pick one, and this is where your legal pad is going to fall into. So basically that last piece of cardboard will tuck in there, slide it all the way down, and it secures it inside the leather. And this will be a panel inside the entire cover. So all you do, I'm going to go over a 1/2 inch from either edge right here. You're going to come down 2 inches, and that's where your line's going to be. So it'll be 2 inches from the top and a 1/2 inch from either edge. And then make this about 8.5 inches, a little bit heavier than 8.5 inches, which is the exact size. So you see how this one slid in here? It's pretty snug. You can see it fits pretty much right on the numbers there, and that's 8.5. What I basically do is make those marks. So again, come down 2 inches. You're gonna go over your 1/2 inch, make your mark, 1/2 inch, make a mark, and then it's like a 3mm. You could do whatever size you want, but a 3mm hole punch, and that'll give you enough. So when you do make your straight cut across, you basically have to make 2 cuts across the top of that circle and the bottom of that circle, and that'll give you a little bit of a gap in there. So you basically just want to cut this little sliver out right here, and then that way you can lift it and fold it. So you can just cut a slice, but I like to have a little bit of give in there. So I usually try to do the top and the bottom of this. Like I said, I just punched 2 holes in the side. Now this time you have to get your ruler and put it on the project and cut into it, but just be super careful. Start in the inside edge of that circle, cut all the way down, and then I usually like to start on the inside edge of that one and cut back. So I'm not cutting all the way down with my razor and pulling through that circle. So I'll come down maybe 3/4 of the way, and then I'll take it and cut up from the other circle. So that way I'm basically starting at both sides of the circle to come back to make my cut. And then you really want a sharp blade. I might struggle a little bit because it's softer leather and my blade is sharpish. So I might struggle a little bit there, but I'm basically gonna, again, 3mm, 3cm punch would be huge. 3mm punch on either end, and I'm basically going to start the top of them, make a line, and then the bottom of them, make a line, and then you should have just a little piece that comes out, and then that'll be where you slide your binder into. So take one of those small panels, the individual panels, pick which one you want, 2 inches down, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then you're going to make your cuts across, so you can slide that legal pad in there. So good luck. Now don't let this part fool you. I do have these 2 little dots here at my 1/2 inch mark. That's gonna be the center of that 3mm cut. So I'm gonna basically set my punch on top of right where that 1/2 inch is. So after I punch it, it is gonna go out a little bit on either side, which will help accommodate that legal pad in there. But just to let you know that little 1/2 inch piece that you just did, once you punch it, you want that little hole that you did in the center. So, let's see here. That's how I punch holes. I put them in the center, I line up my piece here, and then that's gonna add a little bit to the edge on either side. but that just helps to accommodate. So you see my mark, maybe. Yeah. There you go. And then let me see if I can. There we go. Now you see my mark with a hole on it, and that punch that I just had is right in the middle. So again, it's gonna just add a little bit to it. All right, now I'm gonna take straight edge, connect the dots right here, and hopefully we'll have a nice little sleeve. We can slide this little legal pad in. Here I am, I'm doing one of my best tricks, cutting into my project. So for something like this, I do have a couple different rulers here. This one's just steel. It'll tend to, you see some little marks on there, which are fine, they rub out. But I have a little bit better success with these ones that have a little cork on the back or something just so it doesn't slide, because these tend to slide a little bit more. And I don't like putting a ton of pressure on them. So I want to make sure I can see where my hole ends so I don't go too far. So I'm going to put a little mark right there just to let me know. And then I want to be at the very, very tip top of that, very, very tip top of this one. And I'm going to start right on that line and slowly and carefully work my way back. If I got to do a few passes, so be it. With this halfway dull razor, I will. So I'm going to go over about 3/4 of the way. And then I'm going to stop myself from doing what I want to do and correct here. So I want to make this, line this back up. Now I'm going to start from the top of this one and work my way back. That way I'm meeting in the middle here. It's the worst part of any project, cutting into it. All right, let's see. All right, so you can see my knife is half dull there, but I'm going to pull it apart a little bit and just take those few remaining fibers, and there you go. So that's part of it. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this bottom part right here, and I should just have a little tiny sliver here, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so of an opening. All right, there you have it. It's like a monster. I will eat your legal pad. Apologize for that, that was terrible. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna set this one to the side because we don't have to do anything else with it right now. So I'll put that one to the side. Get your panel that you haven't touched yet. And then this is where you're gonna attach the pocket that we're about to cut. So we're gonna cut one. It's gonna be 3 inches across, 3 inches wide, and we're gonna go 9.5 across to fit this width. So, and for this one, even though they wanted a relatively streamlined interior pocket, I still love looking for little pieces of character I love throwing in there, and this is for sure getting added. That looks awesome. So I'm gonna add that in. That's where I'm gonna take my 3-inch pocket from, and that thing's gonna look good. All right, so there we go right there. That's gonna look good. From here, again, make sure you keep this one to the side. You don't wanna sew into that. All we'll do is, I'm gonna stitch this on to the very bottom. Line it up, stitch it, make it look nice. And then I'm gonna put a little stitch line somewhere in there. Let me tell you how far. So in this one, that joker was it's about 3 inches off the edge. So once it's sewn on there, you'll go over 3 inches and then just put your stitch line in there. That'll give you like a business card holder, and then you'll have like whatever else is left over can be for other storage and things like that. And the inside of this flap will be open, so you can kind of use it as another pocket too. But it will add a little bit of heft. I'm honestly not even gonna skive these. And I did it on this one here, and it's only, that's a relatively small area, but I don't know. I kind of like them a little thicker there. I don't mind it a bit. So I'm not even gonna skive those down. I'm gonna keep everything else the same. This side doesn't have any skiving either when I did the larger panel in the slit here. So yeah, I'm not even gonna skive it, and I'm just gonna put that on, secure it on. I'll scratch it, especially because this is gonna be a little bit, I'm gonna scratch it up just around the edges. I'm going to use my barge cement, and then I'll just stitch all the way around, leaving the top portions open. And then we'll put a 3-inch over. We're gonna put a stitch line right there too. You don't have to, but that's what I'm doing for this project. All right, so what you see I've done here is at the 3-inch mark done that, and I also want to get this stitch on this side because this isn't going to get a stitch and everything else is. So I want to find out which side I want on my front. I think I'm gonna go with this side. And oh, something else. I like to finish these edges off a little bit, just kind of run some token all over it and smooth them out. And I just use a penny. This is my little 1-cent edger right here. So put it on there, take my razor, cut around it, then I sand it. I usually use, let's see, I got a 220 sandpaper here just to kind of get those edges right. Sand on the side, and then throw some token on, because this is a softer leather, so it's not gonna really burnish, but it does lay down the fibers nicely. So I'm gonna put this on here, make that cut, and then I'll just add the same cuts on the outside. Once I get this barge down, I'm basically gonna start here, barge, 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 and then I'm gonna put a stitch line all the way around. I usually leave about 1/8 of an inch here for my stitch line, and so I just went down to there. That's probably gonna be where I'll start, and that's where I'll start there. So these will all be nice and clean, and it's gonna carry around all the edges there. All right, so here it is. I got it all sewn up. There's my pad in there. This inside came out kind of nice. I don't necessarily like a straightforward one, but it's pretty good. Got a nice clean stitch on there. I need some advice on that. I got some old, one of my original videos on that. But anyway, that's a pretty simple project. If you got any questions, let me know. Shoot me a message, whatever. But here it is. And I'll have some more projects like this coming out, some simpler things like this. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good product. That thing will last quite some time. Real nice stitch line in there. Pretty hefty leather, and that's got an awesome feel to it. It's going to break in awesome too. So tell me what you guys think. I appreciate you hanging with me and checking out my video. Thanks.